My mission is simple, to make you money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. Mad Money starts now. Hey, I'm Cramer. Welcome to Mad Money. Welcome to Cramerica. Other people want to make friends. I'm just trying to make you some money. My job is not just to entertain you, but to educate and teach you. So call me at 1-800-743-CNBC or tweet me at Jim Cramer. We're starting to get our arms around a Biden portfolio, the stocks that would do best if the former vice president wins in 2 weeks. But a funny thing happened on the way to the ballot box. From the market's perspective, there's honestly not that much difference. As a matter of fact, most of the stocks that work under Trump
stock,
will also work under Biden. Can I get a Biden stock, please? And vice versa. We're going to get that. But there are some exceptions. The stocks that need one candidate or the other. And after a strong session that fell apart near the end of the day, Dow ultimately gaining 113 points. S&P climbing 0.47%. NASDAQ dropped so strong all day, advanced only 0.33%. The Biden bull market trampled out of the pen today. And the leader? The solar stocks. Now, there are some other themes that are working, assuming we get a blue wave. Biden could be great for some of the cannabis names. Hey, more on that later in the show, called a tease. He'd be fabulous for renewable energy. Trump loves fossil fuels, oil, gas, even coal. Hey, by the way, the dirtier the better, because it's good for U.S. jobs, and the president has trouble with that global warming concept. He wants oil companies to drill in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. The thing is, there's only so much the president can do. Coal's dead. Nobody wants to build new coal plants when the next Democrat in the White House will tell you to tear them down. No oil company wants to drill in ANWR because they'll be crucified if anything goes wrong. It's not economic, and it's not worth the trouble. Meanwhile, under Trump, we've seen a huge gain in renewables because, like it or not, they're the future. If Biden wins, though, the Democrats are eager to throw money at solar. That's what they do, okay, which is why the stocks are running. Now, I like three solar plays. There's the straightforward one, which is First Solar, endorsed by JMP today on the strength of its backlog. Generac, we had them on recently. It's essential for storage, so your power doesn't go out when the sun goes down. And Tesla, which has a big solar biz. Remember when Elon Musk floated the idea at a dinner that I went to that I was just a simulation? That was more than 5 years ago. I challenged his idea that we'd all get our electricity from a giant solar field in northwest Colorado. That was his plan. In reality, it won't be concentrated like that. Fortunately, Musk has figured that out. The future looks like lots of distributed solar panels that flow back into the grid. Tesla's solar biz can help make that happen. Meanwhile, First Solar makes the actual solar modules. And this one feels like a stealing candy from the baby situation. The company's already in a great position. So if Biden wins, they'll make a fortune. Frankly, any one of these solar companies for the next 2 weeks is going to work. Actually don't even need particular. I usually don't like to say that, but it's true. What else? I see a lot of infrastructure plays that are rallying, though they gave up the ghost this afternoon. I keep recommending cat and deer. But if there's a Democratic sweep, you could see a major infrastructure package. But I've heard so many guys yapping about this. It's very unoriginal. All day I heard it's at Vulcan Materials, it's Martin Marietta, whatever. But you know what? I'll add Waste Management to that amalgam. We own it for the Travel Trust. They make a fortune cleaning up after new construction. But before you buy these stocks betting on a Biden stimulus bill, let's think this through. Those who owned U.S. Concrete, think this through. Remember, we've been through this thing since 2009. Even with an infrastructure bill, our government has forgotten how to build things. By the time that money gets through the states, it can take years before they start construction. This isn't Eisenhower's America. We can put that interstate highway system right up there. It's 2020. Where they'll hire a bunch of consultants, they'll loot the budget, maybe bring a couple dozen guys with a couple of machines sitting by the road. You get the picture. There are things we could do to get our infrastructure groove back, but it can't happen overnight, and maybe we can't even do it. Maybe we just own that. All right, now let's talk about the biggest difference between Trump and Biden. It's trade. Biden's basically a free trader in line with the pre-Trump status quo, which means if Biden wins, you can say goodbye to the trade war with China. Personally, I think Trump was right to crack down on the Chinese government. I've been saying that since I said it in 2009 to the president. We've been letting them get away with highway robbery for decades. But Wall Street hates the trade war, so that's where the money will be. With Biden leading in the polls, the China stocks are roaring, including the ones I was most worried about. Think 3M, Emerson, and Otis Elevator. Otis is really all the growth from China, for pretty much so. And these really just thrive with good relations with China. Biden will give it to them. Trump probably won't. I think Caterpillar wins either way, which is why I keep telling you it's going up, going up, going up. The biggest winners, though, are the China consumer plays, and those are Nike, Starbucks, and Apple. Nike just had a remarkable quarter led by the Chinese business. The stock's expensive here, but you know what? I think it's got 135 written all over it. As for Starbucks, it's been held back by its struggling U.S. business as the company desperately needs to pivot to a more COVID-friendly setup. You'll see what that'll look like when Chipotle reports on Wednesday. They're doing everything right. Starbucks just needs to convert empty retail space from moribund restaurants all over the country, and there are a ton of them, and they'll have a hammerlock on the coffee business. But the bridge to that is their red-hot China division. And I bet those Chinese stores do even better when you take this trade tension away. They'll build them into the third tier. They got cities over there like the fourth tier that are the size of Chicago. That's hyperbole. Finally, let's talk Apple. For years, they've had to walk a tightrope. Balance between Beijing and Washington. China is a huge market for Apple, in addition to being a huge source of manufacturing. Every time President Trump cracks down on Huawei or hits the People's Republic with new sanctions or tariffs, you had to worry that the Communist Party would retaliate by eliminating Apple from the menu. That never happened. Why? Well, that's because thanks to CEO Tim Cook's deft and gracious leadership. The man, besides being an unbelievable manufacturer and thinker, is a born diplomat. Under Biden, that Chinese tightrope becomes something more like a superhighway that takes Apple, Skyworks, Broadcom, Qorvo, Qualcomm, Cirrus, Logic, and Texas Instruments to higher levels. By the way, the latter just blew out the numbers. But really, that's just icing on the apple cake. That's funny. Apple cake. Apple pie. They just launched a new phone, the 12, and 5G is beckoning. Now, if you talk to people running the big three telco carriers, you get the sense that widespread 5G adoption might be a lot closer than we think, particularly for some of the operators. Speaking of China, they're way ahead of us in 5G. In fact, they're way ahead of us on kind of on everything right now. Unlike the West, they got the COVID under control, mask, contract tracing, so their economy's roaring. One more reason to buy Starbucks, Apple, Nike, S-A-N. Find me a D. I'm working all night on a D. You know, make it sand. Let me work on it. Of course, if there's a Democratic sweep in 2 weeks and they take both houses of Congress, and there'll be calls to break up the big tech platforms, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, not so great tonight, Alpha, a.k.a. Google. I say don't sweat the program. Today, the government tried to mess with Apple. Trump's Justice Department and 11 state attorneys general sued them for antitrust violations. What happened? Well, the darn thing rallied. Makes sense to me. You want to bring down big tech, antitrust action is not the way to do it. The worst thing they can do is break up Alphabet, and honestly, that would be great for the stock because the sum of the parts is worth a lot more than the whole. Plus, both parties have spent decades filling the federal judiciary with judges who are extremely skeptical of antitrust enforcement. No one's talking about that. You just heard it. Whether you love these companies or hate them, I happen to love them. This case isn't going anywhere. Just like the last antitrust investigation into Google with millions of documents, they snowed them, they did everything. Like, okay, enough already. You win, Google. Now, here's the bottom line. From the market's perspective, if you believe the polling that has Biden ahead substantially, you have to buy the China stocks, the solar stocks, and maybe some of the cannabis plays to be named. Sorry, you have to watch the whole show, you Twitterites, later.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on Twitter. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadTweets. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.